introduction probably a year or so ago, and it never happened. Just the pandemic, everything kicked in, and things kind of stopped. The car ran out of MOT and it got laid up at home for the past year or so, not doing anything. So we got it MOT last week. It's still driving, it's still good in that sense. We've never tested the sequential that went in it from PGS transmissions, so that still needs testing to make sure this one's not going to break. And yeah, I'm going to show you what I decided to do with the car, because it's been sat around so long now that nothing's really happened with it. Give you a little look around the inside and stuff. Look in the interior there. I'll turn it off now, it's a bit noisy, just letting it run up to 10. Now, yeah, what's happening is, I've been owing and owing on what to do with the car because it sits about for most of its life not doing anything. Now, it's all nice having it sat there, doing not a lot seems a bit of a waste. So, speaking to a few friends who are doing similar things with their cars or race cars and this, that and the other, they're having a go at sprinting. A couple of people have been doing it for a long time. A couple of people I know have just started doing it, and it seems like a good thing to have a go at. So I applied for membership of a motor club, which is Borough 19 Motor Club. That gives you have to be a member of a motor club to join any of the kind of motor racing. You have to have an initial club that you're registered to. So Borough 19 is who my friends are with, and that's who I join with. And then I applied for my RS Interclub licence, which is a speed licence, so there's no ARDS test involved. Nothing's got to be done. It's just the most basic of basic licences, which is a postal application. Now for the sprinting, you're on your own, you're against the clock, you are in set classes. Because this car's such a random one, obviously it is MOT, it is taxed, it doesn't have the original engine. It's a manufacturer engine, it's still a Ford engine, but it's not the original engine. It's turbocharged, so you get a percentage penalty over the CCs because you've got turbo on top. And again, because it's so modified and it doesn't have the original engine, and it's now four-wheel drive and it runs sequential, etc, etc, I'm in what's called the Sports Libre category, which is basically, they explain it as anywhere that nobody fits, we put them there. And the downside is there's only normally 2, 3, maybe 4 cars max that run in this class. So, but I'm not really doing it for class wins, the whole bang in the competition. You do as good as you can, but it's more a case of the car sits around so much doing nothing that I just want to get out there and use it. So the car in itself is generally good to go, but there's a few things that have to be changed. Now I'll probably pull the passenger seat out just because there's no point in having it. Most of the car is compliant. I will need, yeah, I knew there's a few things I need to change because I did previously a few years ago have the car scrutineered to see what we did or didn't have to do. Now, things like the brake fluid inside the car, from what I remember, that's fine because it's not a pressurised container. But under the seat here, if I try and show, you probably won't see it under there, but there is a pump setup. Now that is the hydraulic pump for the centre differential, the Skyline gearbox, which gives it your clutch pressure, making it four-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive or anywhere in between, depending on how it's set. Now that is pressurised system because it's hydraulic pressure. Now that has to be under the car or in a sealed, like firewall type setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that to the rear of the car and put it underneath. A couple of other things that need to be done. If you're running a fire extinguisher system, I've got handheld lifeline down here, and also in the back I've got a full lifeline. I think it's a 2000 electrical plumbed-in system, all wired in properly through the proper switches. If you run them in the car, they have to be in date and serviced, etc. Now, I bought these maybe 10 years ago when I first started to build, when we were putting stuff where we wanted it for weight, etc, etc. Now, unfortunately, I've left it too long, and because it was really only ever a track day car, the bottles are now out of date. but they're so far out of date, even though they're still in the green and for a track day or road use, they'll still work, as far as I'm aware. They're too far past their date to be serviced now. So unfortunately, I'll have to get new bottles. I think the cost for two, the big bottle and the small handheld, is about £400. So annoying that I never got them serviced, because the service is about 40 quid. So I could have saved myself, it still would have been cheaper to service them every 3 years, or whatever the time frame is. So that needs to be done if I keep them in there. They're definitely staying in, because you would kick yourself if you'd removed them from the car and then you had a fire that could have potentially either been salvaged by having that system in there and extinguishing the fire, or if touch you didn't, but you had an accident, that may allow you to get out the car. And not having it in there could be a very bad decision. Hopefully we won't ever find that out, so that's good. There's a couple of things also that need to be done on the car. Now I'll see if I can pop the boot open here, one-handed. We're just on pins on the back. Let's use a knee. Check we clear the lathe, which we do. Now there's the fuel tank in the car. Now this is a 55, I think it's between 50-55 litre tank, which is obviously definitely not needed if you're sprinting. And then if you look under the car, there's a sump on it. The fuel pumps are in that box to the side. You've got an outlet on that side, you've got an outlet on this side. So it goes to twin pumps, twin filters, and down to the front of the car. Now, I need to firewall this off for this to be compliant for scrutineering. Now, the problem being is the tank is so big, there's no room really left to easily make a firewall around this tank as like a secondary skin. So what I think I'm going to do, I'll keep this tank for track days, and then I'm going to make a much smaller version. When I'm speaking to others, they're sort of 20, 25 litre tanks, even if at a push I said 30 litre tank, that still uses the sump setup. So you've still got sort of like a base in your collector, but it's a lot smaller inside, so it allows me to build a nice sealed cover or put it in a sealed box over the top, and then that eliminates any issues with any having to do a full firewall, etc, etc. The firewall side were good. I kind of would like it to be completely sealed off around here, and maybe a panel welded up so the whole back is sealed from the cabin. That would be great, but that's going to involve, it's not so much the work, but it involves repainting, and I don't want to get involved in that because things have to be stripped, the car's got to go to a body shop and blah, blah, blah. So that's too much hassle. So what we're going to do, we're going to move the pump from under the seat to under the car for the diff. We are going to take the fuel tank out, the 55 litre tank out, and we're going to make ourselves a smaller tank and an enclosure. And then there was something else. I'm sure there was something else that I needed to do. Maybe, maybe not. I can't remember. I'll have to sort of, if I remember, I'll let you know. But once we've done them two items over the next month or two, I'm in no rush. There is actually a technical scrutineer for the Motorsport UK who's based locally, and from what I've been told, I haven't contacted him yet, but for a fee, he will come to me, he will look at the car, he will go over it, and he will tell me what needs doing, what's right, what's wrong, and what I need to comply. Because I think, preferably for me, I'm going to try and get a full competition logbook on the car. Now that not only means it's been scrutinised to sort of a good standard and a high standard, but it also means if I do come to sell it on, or I'm not using it, even though it is a it's a random car, it would be eligible for more, and it would probably be more appealing to people who are going to spend this sort of money, because it wouldn't be a cheap car. That if it has a competition car logbook, at least the only thing they've got to worry about is keeping it up to that standard, and potentially seatbelt dates and seat dates, because the seats and seat belts that are in this are currently out of date. They're still fine and fit for purpose, but they're out of date. So if I go for competition car logbook, I may have to buy a new seat and a new harness, and if I do, I do. That's no real drama, so I'll wait and see what he says about that. Then we've got a few more things. Since we had the car done and the engine dynoed, if you look on one of my old YouTube videos from about 6-7 years ago, there's a short video of the engine on the dyno itself, where it made around I think it was around 500 horsepower, maybe a little bit more. Now in the car, we set it at 1 bar of boost. I think on the dyno, 500, 550 horsepower was about 1.7 bar, maybe 1.8. So the car's never run to its full potential in full boost on the road or on the track. So I might, or I might not, take it and do its full mapping in the car. So we take it to a hub dyno, we get it bolted on, we get it dialed down so everything's good, just to maybe see some figures of what it's actually doing in the car. And then, yeah, we're good to go. So my plan is to get the car out for one event. We're now in August. It's now, what were we on? 12? It's the 15th of August now. I think in about 2 months, 2.5 months, there's one event at the end of the year. And I'm gonna try, I may not make it because of work commitments and stuff, depending on how busy I get, but I'm gonna try and make one event at the end of this year, so I know that I've familiarised myself. I've never done any racing. I'm a track day boy racer style. I've got no racing experience. I've done a handful of track days, so I may have people think you turn up with a car like this and you must be good at the driving. I just like building the car. That's what I wanted to build it. I don't have the experience under my belt or the seat time in this car to drive it anywhere close to its potential. And it's going to take me a long time if I ever get to that point. But I'm happy to start with just a little bit of sprinting. You know, you're against the clock. It's a little bit more to aim for than just track day going round and round in circles. So yeah, one event this year, get ourselves familiarised, get the car scrutineered, be happy that everything's going to pass and I can just go to an event as and when needed, and then hopefully next year, that's the plan, we'll go sprinting. We won't do like the full season as such, but when it's local and I've got the time, let's get out and use the car for a change. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll keep you updated on the videos of what we're doing. Cheers for watching.